Hey, it's that time of the month again, and if I'm being honest, I don't really want to make this video at all. And the reason to that is because some of you may have taken these things too seriously, and I would like to start the video by saying that the gacha revenue, Sensor Tower, is not the most reliable sources of income of these gacha games. It really isn't. As you can see, it's just Chinese revenue as well. It's not the whole worldwide. Not to mention, it's only based on the iOS, and not even the Android multiplier is not going to help anything because it's not reliable enough. It's just a multiplier based on assumptions. These things can just be made up. So when these gacha CCs says that Genshin Impact will be the highest rank all the time, Honkai Star Rail will always be the best Hoyo games, Zenless Zero seems to be dropping and won't last long, Wuthering Waves will never be the Genshin killer that it is. It is not meant to be taken too seriously. It is purely for enjoyment. And of course, we have the Hoyo stance, which thinks that their favorite gacha games, i.e., Genshin Impact, should never be compared with any other games, especially Wuthering Waves, which is bonkers, to be honest, and kind of cringe. I'm an individual that believes if you compare a game to another game, especially when it's from the same genre, the game could be better. But to some of you that plays Genshin Impact and still supports the game for what it is, the game will remain the same. And honestly, I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest. Because for Wuthering Waves, we've been getting updates after updates that this game keeps on getting better and better, giving more endgame content after endgame content. And not just Wuthering Waves, we have seen how Hoyoverse are very capable, turning Zenless Zero a more casual game compared to Genshin Impact as well, having more and more endgame content, patch after patch after patch. So Genshin Impact is definitely capable of becoming a much better game. They just won't do it because you guys are already happy. So let's start off this video with Genshin Impact. Also forgot to mention that I won't be talking about any other games aside from Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, which is a game that I don't play by the way, Zenless Zero, and Wuthering Waves. Genshin Impact, I didn't expect, but at the same time, I'm not really surprised for it to be earning so much. Again, I stated in my last video that Genshin Impact released Netland, and Netland characters have these mechanics where you have to pull for the characters to be able to roam around the region without any nuisance of changing into a certain animals or creatures that provide those mechanics the same way as the characters does. Instead, you can just play with the characters and fighting mobs using the characters a lot easier, right? This have always been Genshin Impact way of marketing their characters. It's very scummy, but it is also the reason why Wuthering Waves did not gain the same attraction because all the characters that they provide, even the MC in the Wuthering Waves themselves, are capable of beating the endgame content, capable of climbing the mountains as high as possible. There's no restriction in terms of roaming around the world because all these characters are very fast paced, move around really fast. They all have grappling hook mechanics. That has never been an issue. Meanwhile, Genshin Impact just released a character a patch ago where you can use a character called Kinich. He also has a grappling hook, and he's the only one that can do that, by the way, which is disappointing, let's be honest. And there's also other characters like Yelan. She can run around faster than most characters. Kazuha can jump in the air. Xiao can dash through the air. Shanyun can hop around like I don't know, a lot more faster, I guess, just like Yelan. But Genshin Impact also likes to limit the characters, which is why when I use Shanyun, you can't do it in the air. You can just hop around on the ground. It's annoying how Genshin Impact does these things. They really like to limit you, but players doesn't seem to have any problems with it and continuously spend their money in the game. And I'm not gonna go through it. I've gone through this way too many times, and I've seen so many players are just so happy that Genshin Impact was able to get the most revenue compared to Wuthering Waves and call out Wuthering Waves as not really a Genshin killer is pretty cringe, I have to say. Which is why I am not gonna go through this. And Genshin Impact will never ever change, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I'm still disappointed about the stamina increase. They never really seem to bother with it. It's very annoying. Next is Honkai Star. I never have a problem with Honkai Star. Character design wise, story looks pretty cool. The world building looks nice. I don't play it. I watch a lot of content creators that plays this game, so I just watch them play the game. Meanwhile, I just sit there playing Wuthering Waves or Zone Zero. The game seems alright. I have no issue other than it being a turn-based game, which is something I've never enjoyed in my entire life of gaming. But as most gacha game does have ups and downs, Honkai Star Rail did start off with a huge bang, and not to mention that they have given a limited 5-star characters in their game. Meanwhile, Genshin Impact never really did that and recently just gave us a standard 5-star, which is pretty lame to be honest. I did praise Genshin Impact for doing that in my videos because damn it took so long, but finally, of course I am still disappointed and I wish they given us a limited 5-star as well, just like all these other games are giving us. I really hope Zenless Zone Zero will give us a limited 5-star as well. But as you can see, Honkai Star did manage to have a huge drop right here, which is interesting because I've heard nothing but great things when it comes to HSR, especially when right now I believe there's currently a new character called Rappa and she looks pretty cool. I really don't know much about Honkai Star, so I'm gonna move on to the next one, which is Zenless Zone Zero. It's a game that I'm currently playing a lot more compared to Wuthering Waves actually. I have to admit that I'm enjoying so much more. As I stated before, Zenless Zone Zero continuously add more and more endgame content every single update of the game. And when I say every single update, I literally mean every single patch. Since 1.0, we have the Shu defense. It started off as the same similar spiral abyss like Genshin Impact, but then they removed the timer and it becomes more like a boss rush instead. And we also have a roguelike system which is the Hollow Zero. At first we only have 3 bosses and then they add another boss, and then afterwards we mainly have to focus on that one main boss where you only fight that boss and then it revives over and over. And afterwards, the next patch, they add more. They completely remove the TV system and let us go to the roguelike system without the annoyance from the TV. And I don't want to forget to mention the arcade, the mini arcade games. At first, I thought it was just gonna be a fun thing I do if I don't have anything else to do in the game. Turns out they were able to utilize more in the arcade game by adding a roguelike game, a roguelike mini games where you can mess around with all these bunch of characters. It's just a never-ending content with Zenless Zone Zero, and honestly, I really think this game is really fun. It's just such a fun game. And I'm really surprised with how low the revenue got. Of course, most Zenless Zone Zero also play in PC due to it having a lot of button mashing and all that stuff, right? And if the revenue is like this in this patch, which has one of the most great looking characters, I have to admit, Caesar, which is also a very meta based character, the most versatile unit in the game. And we have Bernice, wonderful design, trailers. So I really don't know how the sales will go into the next patch because Yanagi, I'm not gonna lie, I find her very bland. I know some of you will pull for her because Gunners, I completely understand. So go for it, but I'm sure it's not gonna go any higher than what we have here currently. Now let's go to Wuthering Waves. Now in my past video, I fully expect that Wuthering Waves will blow up after Shorekeeper's release. But turns out I was completely wrong, and it's possible because of the drip marketing from Camellia, which is also the character that has been teased during 1.0. So it's also completely understandable why people would skip Shorekeeper for Camellia, the character that player base have been waiting for a very long time. Even me myself, I thought of not pulling for Shorekeeper so many times because Camellia just looks so good. And if I pull for Shorekeeper and also try to pull for the weapons like a character like Jian and Yinlin, there's no way I will make it as an F2P. So that says a lot in a way why the revenue didn't go so well, and which is because of Camellia. Other than that, I really have no clue. I have no reason why people will even skip Shorekeeper because she is a very good looking unit. She's a very meta based character as well. There should be no reason for people to not pull for her. And of course, again, I have to keep mentioning this that the revenue chart right here is not even include PC players. So of course, Wuthering Waves obviously earn more than just what we see here. There's really no point in me defending or making excuses to why Wuthering Waves revenue looks the way it is. If you're waiting for Wuthering Waves to exceed Genshin Impact revenue, that day will never happen. And it's okay. Don't really have much to say in the context of gacha revenue at the moment. Just wanted to clarify that sometimes gacha revenue can be very untrustworthy and we shouldn't take these things too seriously. So that's about it. Thank you for watching the video. See ya.